Welcome to Riverdale. I'm your host, Bob Barth, and on this week's very special Coast to Coast episode, we are talking Chapter 6, Faster Pussycats Kill Kill, with the leader of the Pussycats herself, Josie, Miss Ashleigh Murray.
Archie.
Betty. Veronica.
Jughead.
I'm Cheryl Blossom.
For one shining moment, we were just kids. The bright neon lights of Pops keeping the darkness at bay.
Ashleigh Murray.
Hey,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Of course.
Now this is Coast to Coast. I'm sitting here in Burbank Studios in Los Angeles, and you are
I am
New York
in,
City.
What, I guess this is what, like Midtown West? Yeah, I think
54th and 9th, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's start there. Are you originally from New York?
I am not. I'm actually a country girl. I am from Kansas City, Missouri, originally.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but I've been living out here in New York City for, I don't know, like 9 years, I think it's been.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a while. This is my second home. This is home. I missed it.
You're speaking to a former New Yorker, born and raised, and spent a good deal of my adult life there, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you get it. You know that longing, that pang. Ugh.
Especially during the holidays. That's when my wife and I see like the Rockefeller Center during the holidays. It's we get the itch back.
You know, I think it's more so maybe. It's not even really the holidays for me. I'll see a picture of a taxi cab hanging in the hallway of a hotel, and I'll get emotional. Like, it's that deep for me.
You were born to be a New Yorker. I love it.
I really was.
So, originally from Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that. Growing up out there, where do you start getting the itch for acting, singing?
Honestly, Kansas City didn't really have anything to do with that. That just happened to be where I came out. I come from a very artistic family. My mother sings. My grandmother was a singer. My aunt is a musician. My grandfather was a pianist. Jazz was a very big part of my childhood. And because we were all so artistically inclined, I was very lucky enough to have that support system that anything I really kind of wanted to do or dabble in, they were all for. Kansas City was just, it's Kansas City. It's hot in the summertime, and it's so unbearably cold in the winter. It's beautiful in the spring, and you get thunderstorms, and the barbecue is on point. I will fight anybody in the street, any day, anytime, anywhere. If you try to tell me the Kansas City barbecue ain't the best, because it is.
Wow. And that is spoken like someone from a city that is very proud about their barbecue.
Oh, yes. So proud.
That's fantastic. So, you come, which is amazing. So there are so many parallels right off the bat between you personally and your character, Josie.
Yeah. That's how I know it was right. It was kismet.
Absolutely. So what takes you, I guess we start here. What takes you to New York?
I knew I wanted to be an actor when I was 10. I had actually just moved to California to live with my aunt for a couple of years, and she put me in a independent private school in Berkeley. It was called Berkwood Hedge. I'm not even sure. I think it may still be open. I don't know. I haven't been back in a long time. But there I did my very first play. And I started halfway through the school year, and everybody already had their roles cast, and I got the smallest role, and I didn't have any lines, but I had to sort of kind of be on or around stage the entire time. It was like the glorified set piece that had to pop in and narrate here and there, and somehow people seemed to enjoy that, and I was like, all right, cool, I guess I can do this. And then I was watching The Associate with Whoopi Goldberg and Diane Wiest. And there is this scene in the movie where Diane Wiest and Whoopi Goldberg are walking along the Brooklyn Promenade, and she admits this huge lie that the film has been, pretty much driving on the entire time up to this point. And as she pretty much, pours her heart out to Diane, Diane's like, oh yeah, no, I already know. And the entire time I just kept thinking what I would give to do a scene with Whoopi Goldberg and Diane Wiest on the Brooklyn Promenade with the Twin Towers in the background. That's how you know you've made it. This is where I need to be. So I made the decision that if I was going to study acting, I was going to go to the East Coast before Hollywood.
Amazing. And that was, how old were you at this point?
When I saw The Associate, I was 12. I was 12 going on 13, and I was 10 when I did my very first show.
Yeah,
so I was pretty young.
It is young, but that's like a recurring theme with so many people in the arts. Is it's those formative years where all of a sudden it just clicks and you're like, this is who I am and this is what I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I had a lot of aspirations. I wanted to be a seamstress and a sculptor and a choreographer. I pretty much wanted to do anything that didn't require a desk to sit at and a phone to answer. But acting is absolutely where my heart lies the most.
That's great. So then you get to New York.
Yeah. I got to New York. I was 19.
Okay.
I'd graduated high school the year before, and I didn't have enough money to go to the college that I wanted to go to, which is now called the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. When I was applying, it used to be called the School for Film and Television, and I was dying to go there because it was a 2-year conservatory, and I didn't have to take a lot of other electives that didn't have anything to do with what I actually wanted to major in, and it was in the city that I wanted to live in, and all of our staff were pretty much, I think, all of our staff in some more form or manner were still active in the industry, so it was kind of like this perfect storm, and my year after high school, my aunt took me into an adult boot camp and helped me get my first job. And I was still teaching theater at the time in the summer program. And then I did like what was it? It was a one-woman show to raise money to get me to New York. And I finally made it. And we're like, it's the first week of school. Everybody's parents are still there. People are getting them settled in into their rooms and stuff. We were housed in Brooklyn. And I'm like crying in the front office because I don't have enough financial aid to cover my housing for the first year, I think it was. Wow. So I had a really rough start into the city. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to stay, but thankfully, with the help of some close family friends, we were able to pull together the money to pay for that, pay for my dorms in college. And I just kept fighting tooth and nail from there, working in work study. I did a show off Broadway at the Manhattan Theater Source down in the West Village while I was still in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just making my way, trying to. It was tough.
And it's you are young. Still young, but it's a tough road for anyone at any age, and there is a certain amount of struggle really of your age.
Yeah, you really, really have to want it. You really, really do. You have to want it. You have to be willing to cry and give up and sacrifice so many things if this is where you want to be. Because even with the success that I've gotten so far, I'm still auditioning. We're all still submitting tapes. I'm still trying to book more work just in case things, come to an end pretty quickly. So you have to be in it for the love of it and for, the way that it touches and moves people. It can't be about the money. Otherwise, it's going to drive you crazy and you're going to fall apart.
Absolutely. No, you've got the right attitude. You're going to be just fine.
I hope so.
Absolutely. So now you have an extraordinary background in music as well.
Do I? Please. Extraordinary. That's lovely. I don't know if I would necessarily say that. I don't know why I'm laughing so much at that. I just, my family's musical, I love karaoke. I don't really know.
So So you didn't do as much. So your studying was primarily acting.
Yeah, it was really, honestly, primarily acting. I am just blessed with these vocal cords that I get from my mother and my grandma.
So that comes along naturally. I mean, it totally makes sense, and it's that stuff that you grow up with that clearly resonates with you and the character in such a easy and carefree way. I mean, having looked at myself, having gone through many of the dailies, you sound great on everything I hear.
Thank you.
That's true.
Yeah, this it's funny now that the show is, on air and we personally each are getting more exposure. I'm getting a lot of questions about, do you have like secret music somewhere? Is there anywhere we can listen to some of your stuff? And I'm like, yeah, on the CW at 9:00. That's
Smart.
That's where you can catch my stuff. That's
Perfect.
the extent of my stuff.
I love it. So did you do any musical theater, or is this sort of the first connection between drama and music for you?
No, I did musical theater. I did musical theater in high school. I actually graduated high school early to do my first professional show. It was at Crown Center, which is a very reputable children's theater in the Midwest, in Kansas City. And I was doing musicals then, and I kind of stopped after I got into college and was focused mainly on film and television. But, I would still go out on musical auditions here and there. It really has to move me. It doesn't lessen my enjoyment of them, because I've had Wicked on my iPod for way too long. Like, I've got Seussical the Musical on my iPod. I don't play. I love musicals. I just don't go after them the same way I do everything else.
Sure, absolutely. All right, so then how does Riverdale enter your life? When do you get the phone call, I imagine, from your agent for the audition?
Oh, man. Okay, so I actually was able to tell this story a little bit more. I haven't talked about it too much. I had recently quit my restaurant job where I was unfortunately robbed like the week before. And
you were robbed on the job?
Yeah, like somebody stole my money out of my waiter, my server book that I had left on the stool in the server room that you can only get to through the kitchen and down a back alley. So you have to work there in order to do that. And somebody took my money because it wasn't me. And I had also just before that quit working full-time at a temp to perm place in Midtown. Was really trying to give acting all of my attention. I was 4 months behind in rent, which was about $4,300. I ran out of personal belongings to sell just to buy groceries. It was getting to a point where if I didn't make a decision soon, I was going to end up leaving New York and I wouldn't be able to pursue my career at all. So I had just decided to go back to working full-time for like 6 months and then was going to try to hit it again once I got back on my feet financially. And I was leaving Whole Foods from Columbus Circle.
Sure.
I had just gotten off the phone with my mom asking her to send me $3 so that I could get home because I didn't have enough money to get on the train since I had walked to the grocery store from way across town. And as I'm on the train, I get an email from my manager with a breakdown of this audition. And I saw Josie, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of familiar. And then I kept reading, and I saw Riverdale, and I was like, what the what? And I was like, all right, cool. Well, this seems really great. My dream is sort of coming true. I love Archie comics, and the fact they were making a TV show, over the moon. So I was like, look, if this is going to be my last audition, fuck it. We're just going to go balls to the wall. I'm going to go in there and give them whatever I've got. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, at least now they know who I am. And I did the audition here in New York, and they sent the tape to LA. And the next day, my manager called me saying that my agent said that the studio, that I was being pinned for the role. And I didn't know what that meant. I was like, okay. And apparently, for those who don't know, they literally stick your photo on a wall in front of the room of execs, and they say, these are the people that we want for these roles. So then 20 minutes later, it was, what's your passport information? You know, how many headshots and resume do you have? Because they might be flying you to LA tomorrow to test. And then it was, okay, you're definitely going to LA. And I was up for 36 hours straight because I didn't have any money to wash my clothes. So like I was washing my clothes in the sink in my bathroom because I needed to bring extra like things to change into just in case they wanted to see a different look from the tape. I was running up to the laundromat begging the guy to dry my clothes for me for free because I only found 50 cents on the ground on the way there. Like things were so real for me. Crazy. And by the time I got into the room to test for the studio, I got through my scene and I forgot the words to the song that I was singing mid-song, and then it came back to me and I kept singing and finished, and I crashed that night after finding out that they were advancing me to network. And so then I went to network that Monday, and then I got the call that night and they were like, they want to offer you the role. And I was like, get out. No, they don't. Stop. No, they don't. Stop playing with me. They don't want to give me this role. And they did.
When it's people don't believe it, even when you recount these stories. And by the way, that is a fantastic story.
It's
that you will be telling people for a long, long time. I love it. But people never get that when it happens really fast.
I was not expecting it, and that's just like I can't even. I just remember sitting on the floor cross-legged after doing my very first round of meditation from Deepak Chopra and Oprah online, looking out over the freaking sunrise of wherever I was in LA. I don't know the landscape that well, and I just was thinking, wow, man. Motivate like sitting here and doing this and breathing and like yoga. This is what it means to feel good. Like I wasn't even concerned about the fact that I was about to go audition for a network show. I was just enjoying the day. That's probably why my stress level was so low. My agents and my manager, they were freaking out because they were like, oh my God, this is the time where everybody, like kind of screws it up, is when they're, testing for network and studio. And I was just like, but I know the scene. It'll be fine. Like they haven't given me any notes, and if they did, I would change it. And, if they like it, they like it. I can't really do anything about that.
That is exactly. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And the variables that are either going to get you the job or not get you the job are so completely out of your control at that point. All you could do is exactly what you did. Be zen, go in and do your thing, and call it a day. And just, you walk out with the know-how that, I did the best I'm capable of doing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I've had a lot of crappy auditions, like I've had really great auditions that didn't go anywhere. This one, it was just right.
That's amazing. I love that story. So then you get the job, and then of course it's off to Vancouver to go make the pilot.
Yeah. And I had never left the country before. Like, it is leaving the country, technically and literally, but I got up there and I was like, oh my gosh, Sephora. It was just really ignorant. But yeah, I was so stoked to go and live somewhere else other than New York. And, it was a grand place. Vancouver is beautiful and it has so much to offer. And, sitting in a room with our writer and, Cole Sprouse sitting next to you and, frickin' Luke Perry, and like the room is dark and there's all this like fireplace and it smells like chlorine. It was a very bizarre experience. But it was an amazing way to start the winter, I'll tell you that. Well, I guess going into the spring.
Totally. And so, so you are of the age where Cole Sprouse is a big deal.
Yeah, I am.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's funny because like I am of the age to know who Cole Sprouse is, but I know him more so from movies. Like I know him from Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
As the little boy. And I know that he and Dylan did Sweet Life, and I recall seeing episodes of it, but it wasn't something that I watched faithfully. I was more of a movies kind of girl. I didn't spend a whole lot of time watching TV. So like I was in love with them when they were, just like nightstand high. So sitting next to them on the couch, it was so funny because like I wasn't even really that like phased that I was going to be meeting Cole Sprouse, because I remember seeing some article on BuzzFeed about, oh, where are they now, the child actors, and it said that he and his brother had gone to NYU. So clearly they wanted to have, a different experience out of life and to be defined for different things. So I wasn't going into it like, oh my God, Cole Sprouse. But I tell you what, I was sweating bullets when Luke Perry walked into the hair and makeup trailer. I didn't know what to do. That was a long time coming. And even with like Lachlan, like this whole experience, like I can skip around for the last 6 months of my life. It's having all of these memories and realizing that, yeah, that actually happened. Like, yeah, you're actually friends with these people now and you get to work with them and it's so awesome.
And it is a truly and I'm not just saying this because I work on the show, but I am sort of saying it because I work on the show. It is a remarkable cast.
Yeah, it really is. I'm so blown away by everyone. And I say that with every honesty in my heart. Yeah. I get asked a lot, does it hit you? Does it freak you out when you're sitting back and watching TV? And I'm like, not really. Every now and then in awkward times when I'm alone, it'll hit me. Like if I'm on the train or if I'm washing my hands for some reason, I'll just like get this rush of, oh my God, maybe this person knows that I'm on that TV show and I can't believe I'm on a TV show. But it hits me more so when I'm just with them, or even when I'm not with them and I listen to my dad talk about how much he loves Lily, or Cammie or KJ, or I'll get texts from all my friends about everybody in the cast and I'm like, these are my friends also, so I get more geeked for them, especially when I get all the flux of compliments about how talented they are. It's just, like, I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to be a Riverdale attendee.
Absolutely. And yeah, there's no weak link on this show.
Not
cast-wise. At all. Everyone brings something so different, and it's what I love about the show and what I gravitate towards is that we can have this fun high drama, but it's all extraordinarily grounded in very common emotions and very common things that kids of all ages are going through and have gone through.
Exactly. That's one of the main things that I love about this show, that, you have these iconic characters, these cartoon characters that resonate so much across so many demographics, and then you just pluck them out of the page and throw them in the real life drama. Like you said, albeit heightened, there are a lot of tones to it that so many people can relate to, and I think that's what makes it even more enjoyable, because you're like, yeah, man, I just did that same thing last week, Archie. Like, I don't know what's up.
Well, and that's specifically why we wanted to talk to you about your episode chapter 6, Faster Pussycats Kill.
Yeah.
Because you go through some things. Now I'm going to take you and myself and our listening audience on kind of through your major beats in this episode, because they will have just seen the episode, and
I will have too.
And you will have too.
I have not seen it yet. Like, everybody else has seen it. I have not seen it, and I want to. I can't wait. Like, I'm itching to see it. So we're all going to be surprised together.
It'll be amazing. But we're gonna take you through your big scenes, and just to get some flavor and what the process was like and your thoughts.
Sweet.
So top of here, towards the beginning of the episode. Archie gets up on stage at the variety show auditions, and stage fright.
Yeah, big time.
Completely falls apart. Josie's a little smug about it.
That's an understatement, but yeah. She's so smug, but she's got to keep it cute because she's in public.
Totally. Now, let's get real here for a second. Stage fright for you. Has that ever been a part of your performance identity? I know that that's a very common thing with performers.
You know, I am, but it's only for certain things. It's not as bad now, and that's just from having to do it so much through shooting season 1. But I had terrible stage fright when it came to singing. Not in a musical, not in a form where I was pretending to be someone else, but if I were in Archie's shoes, which I have been, and have gone up to audition to be a part of some performance, and I choked. I got so scared and nothing would come out, and I was sweating and I left crying because I knew how much I wanted to do it, but I just couldn't. So, I mean, it was hard to be kind of a jerk to Archie while he was doing that scene, but, it's all pretend. But in real life, Ashleigh was like, man, don't listen to Josie. She's just jealous.
And it's a hard thing. I think music in particular
Yeah.
is difficult because you're putting so much of yourself out there.
Absolutely. It's very personal.
So interesting. So after that, we're going to get into a scene here where the Pussycats are rehearsing, and all of a sudden there's a big blow up between Josie and Valerie.
Yes, there is. I'm just sitting here reliving that scene. It was actually a lot of fun to do, and it was interesting because we had shot, a handful of rounds of it, and I remember Steven, the director, coming over and saying, just give them something that they haven't seen, and I was just like, okay, and he was like, yeah, like however you would go to a place in this moment, like go past that. And I was like, okay. And it brought out a lot of things, and I think it brought out a lot of really great moments. I'm actually really excited to see that scene. But it's tough because Josie's in this predicament where she's dealing with this internal struggle with her parents that Valerie knows about and understands, but Josie chooses not to share it. And then with this new impending threat of Archie, that just doubles all that anxiety that she's already carrying, and then she uses that as like a mirror and a screen to express what the hurt is really coming from. And you also kind of see very quickly that there is a dynamic to this group. Everybody holds their own for whatever reason, and once things blow up, you see how it can fall apart.
No, you're absolutely right. And we learn so much about Josie in this episode in particular, and we'll start getting into that here. But there's sort of a facade that we see in her from the pilot. And is sort of sustained, and it's one of those things where it keeps the audience, in my opinion, and it keeps sort of her friends, her a little removed from her, because Josie's operating in almost a completely different space than anyone else.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. You explained that far better than I think I ever have. But that's great, though, that you were able to pick that up, because I think that's what's living in me when I'm thinking about how I'm gonna, portray this scene and portray these moments. Josie absolutely, she kind of acts on her own, even though she has, this posse with her and her group and her girls and, even her mom. But everybody is sort of at a distance, just because I feel like I was actually just talking about this to get super, super specific. I feel like Josie definitely hides from a really, really deep, close connection.
Yeah.
Because, you lose yourself in that. It's a real fear to give over completely to something or someone, or a feeling about someone. Is scary. You can sacrifice a lot of your own wants and dreams and views and yourself, and you become this unit as opposed to two strong individuals together. So that can relay over so many different aspects, not just romantically, but even within friendships. So there are, I feel like, a lot of threats that Josie is starting to realize affect her. And that's just part of,
Absolutely.
growing up and figuring out who you are and what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's so what we learned shortly thereafter is your dad's coming to town,
Mm-hmm.
and you are not
Daddy's home.
daddy's home, but you are
Daddy's home.
you are
Yeah.
not to disappoint.
Yeah, no. Oh. Oh, man.
I mean, it's an incredible relationship. Let's talk a little bit about it. I know it gets even more developed later on throughout the episode. But let's peel the onion back a little bit right now. Your father, or Josie's father, he's a professional musician,
He is. Mm-hmm.
and we now understand while the rest of the Pussycats and Archie are in high school and are having fun with music, it all of a sudden becomes crystal clear why this is business for Josie, period.
Yes, absolutely. And it's hard. It's hard to get other people to understand that when they don't have the same, circumstances creating this view and creating this type of tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And you see that it definitely comes because it's like Archie, he just stumbles into this. He just has this talent, and it could be the same with Melody and Valerie, but you see specifically with Josie that there is, there are roots as to why she is the way that she is. And,
Yep.
having her mom be so powerful and successful, except for behind closed doors when she's making like dirty, shady deals, but whatever, we won't talk about that. She has her father who is living a semblance of a dream that she has for herself, to be a working musician. And, here her mother is trying to cut through all the BS and say that, yeah, he's a traveling musician, but he's not, like, nobody's really listening to his music. He's the only one that likes jazz. He's not really making that much money. Trying to get a reality check to her that he is doing what you want to do, but you can do better. And even though it's tainted with whatever tumultuous issues they have between each other, Mayor McCoy and her father, but all that just trickles down. And I feel like Josie is trying so hard to just get both of her parents on the same page. That
Absolutely.
they both love what she's doing and want her to succeed and are proud of her.
Yeah. And it's you see, it's interesting. You get to look at your father's character here as this is what happens when you work hard and you have talent and it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And you kind of rest into this, especially with his idea of what music is,
Yeah.
and what success as a musician really is compared to what he assumes Josie believes. He assumes that Josie is about all the glitz and glam and the flash and, the put upon idea of what it means to be a performer, when really, in her father's eyes, it's about the love of the art and the music. And, it's not about the money. It's not about the glitz and the glam. And it's not about, all the poppy bubblegum music that he thinks that she's just enthralled with. And it's more to her than that. And that has to do with like generation gaps. And, every
Totally.
kid has that issue, whether it's about music or, you wanting to be a teacher or a lawyer or, whatever, anything that may not be what, your parents necessarily want for you. And it's tough to find that middle ground.
Absolutely. And we'll jump right back into this in a minute. Right here, we're going to talk a little bit about after the split, where Valerie goes her own way and she and Archie do a little work with some music. Veronica jumps in there.
Yeah, here she comes to save the day. Yeah, Ronnie. She joins the crew for a hot minute. It's great.
And it is great. And I have to say, I think of the many different scenes that I have watched on repeat for no other reason than pure joy, y'all strutting down the hallway of the high school.
Yes.
is hard rock. It's really cool stuff.
That was a bomb moment. We walked down that hallway so many times.
That's interesting. So people don't appreciate that. I mean, when you shoot all of these episodes that we shoot, one episode is shot over 8 days.
Yeah.
It's 8 days of shooting. So that being said, and these are 42-minute episodes. Once you add commercials, it breaks down to about 42 minutes an episode.
Yeah.
Shot over 8 days. So that being said, how many times do you think maybe you walked down the hall?
Oh my gosh. We probably walked down the hall. Oh, it had to have been like 20 times. And it wasn't even just on our faces. We got shots of our feet. We got shots of like the coverage from behind of, Archie and Valerie and Kevin seeing us come down the hallway and, making sure you can see Ash's reaction and Cammie's reaction. It was just like so many times and moving people in and out and deciding when people would move and cross in front and cross in back. It was a lot. It was a lot of work to just walk down the hall.
It's a tremendous amount of work. And those are the days that will make or break you as an actor.
Yeah, they will.
You'll either go, okay, this is what we need to do for the day, or you'll just snap. One or the
honestly,
other.
I would much rather do a scene over and over and over and over and over again. Not like that makes it seem like you're doing it wrong. But I mean, like to shoot it, in that sequence in that manner, than to not be working.
Oh, of course. Of course. No, you guys nailed it, and you're gonna love it when you see it. I promise.
I can't wait.
And then our next little bit here, we have the Pussycats are rehearsing with Veronica. You guys are doing "I Feel Love."
Mm-hmm. Little Donna Summer.
Donna Summer. So, were you familiar with the song before you guys got it?
I was a little familiar with it. I wasn't incredibly familiar with it. I listened to a lot of 60s and 70s music actually growing up. And I mean, as soon as I found out that that's what we were doing, I was like, oh, and Roberto sent us a reference video on YouTube, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I get this. And it's funny because once I heard the song, I actually heard the reference track before I heard, Donna Summer's original cut of it. And I, was just listening to it, and I was just kind of dancing to it a little bit. And then I saw the email come in with the reference track from Roberto, and I pulled up the video, and Donna and I were dancing the same way. So I was like, all right, yeah, no, this is going to be great. This is solid pick, Roberto, solid pick.
That bass line does make your hips move in a very specific rhythm.
It does.
No, it's great, and it's fun to hear the Pussycats do the Donna Summer. It's fantastic,
right? And that's a tough song to do. Her falsetto game is strong. That was the hard song for me to sing.
And people don't realize that because disco for a long time took a lot of crap from people. Mm-hmm. But frequently the harmonies are very, very tight, and they are deceptively challenging to pull off well.
They are. They really are.
And you guys have a great scene. You and Veronica have this wonderful scene where you're comparing daddy issues.
Yeah, which was so dangerous. You can't be out here talking about people's parents, Josie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was that. It's always so funny when I have to do these scenes and I'm so close to everyone outside of work. That I'll feel myself go to this place, and then I'll be listening to, Cammie as Veronica say, hold up, just because you have daddy issues. And I was like, oh, I thought we were friends. What? Oh, God. Like, I just feel the knife go right in. I'm just like, oh, God. I wasn't ready. Wait, damn. Can I just give me a minute? But, I just kind of let that influence whatever it is that I feel like Josie would say. And, I just turned back into a crazy actor and finished the scene.
No, it's great, and it's a really interesting and well written, well performed scene that shows the parallels between your lives, and really how you have a lot of similarities, especially in that moment.
Yeah, I think it's really sweet the way that you begin to see how there are a lot of similarities between people who seem so different.
Yeah. And then top of Act 4, we have the lodge dinner. And
oh, yes.
Yes.
I forgot about that dinner.
Miles is there, and we learned something really spectacular about Josie that, now I could be completely off base here, but I think is a Riverdale original, is that we established that Josie was named after Josephine Baker.
Yeah, I believe that is a Riverdale original.
Now, that's, that one bit of information kind of explains the whole thing.
Yeah.
She has been named after one of the most phenomenal blues singers of all time.
Yeah.
How can you possibly live up to that?
It's like you can't, but you just, you want to try. And I feel like Josie really wants to try. And, it's getting to a point where it's, am I going to, or, is she going to, continue to try to live up to what her father believes it means for her to be named Josephine? Or is it going to be what she believes her name to mean? And I think, you'll see that kind of evolve within herself. And you see it when she talks about it. She says that, I'm not doing the same old pop music that, Daddy hates. And that's still, not enough. And I feel like it's a big cross to bear, to be named after someone, so iconic. And here you are, it just so happens that you want to do the same things. And yet there are people who gave you that name that don't think you're doing it right.
Yep.
It's tough. And in front of Archie. Like, why do you have to show out when we're in public? Like, can we not talk about this later?
It's brutal. And not only that, he seems to be nonplussed about everyone at the entire table.
It's one of those things where it's like, you went because your parents told you to.
Yeah.
Neither of us really needed to be there. Neither of us wanted to be there. And, it just kind of sucks when it becomes painfully obvious that you would much rather have been absent for that conversation.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. But then later on, towards the end of that sequence, we then find you and Veronica are in Pop's chocolate shop.
Yeah.
And Josie gives Veronica some really good advice here. That don't be too harsh on your mom.
Yeah.
There might be another story here that you're just not keyed into.
Yeah. That's why I think, well, what were you going to say? Because I might.
Well, I was going to say, where do you think that insight comes from?
Okay, I was. I think that comes from, that place of real love that Josie has for her parents and especially her mom. Her mom means well. I mean, everyone means well, but, even in the moments where her mom is, bringing down that heavy fist of the law and, this is what we're going to do because, it's right. And even though Josie may have some pushback, she knows that it comes from, a place of love. And, she knows that her mom wants what's best for her. And if she's not going to get that attention and acceptance and love and appreciation from her father for what she's doing, then, definitely take it from the person who seems to be doing nothing but give that, even when you don't understand it. So, but little do we all know, maybe she should be, having more conversations with her mother about her whereabouts and her day-to-day. But, I think that's what that moment comes out of.
Yeah, the parents have an equally interesting and challenging life all to their own, don't they?
And I mean, that's just it. It's like, it's almost like it just does it get any easier? I mean, you got to go through high school, you got to go through puberty, like you graduate, people get taller, and then all of a sudden, you're a parent and you're lying. Like, where do you go wrong? Like, I just want to know so I don't do that.
I know, and you always think it's you're doing it, the parents are doing it for the kids. We're protecting the kids.
Right, and the kids are rebelling because they don't think the parents know what they're talking about. It's just a horrible circle.
It really is. It truly is. And then we get to the biggest set piece of all here. We get to the variety show.
Yes.
Now, out of from your own personal life here, Ashleigh, have you ever performed any school talent shows, or had you already aged out by then?
I did.
All right, elaborate.
I did. Oh my God, it's just coming back to me. My. Oh God, I can't believe I'm about to say this. I mean, it's really cute. Me and my best friend, my longest best friend, Roxanne, we've been friends for, God, I don't know, like 14, 15 years, something crazy. And we did a high school talent show together. Or no, it was middle school because we didn't go to high school together. It was middle school. We were in 8th grade. And our, like, duo was called Ash and Rocks. And it was like... like volcano rocks and the ash that comes off. Like, we were just too damn cool. And we sang Destiny's Child's Brown Eyes on stage. And, like, we made our own T-shirts out of, like, glitter paint and had stars and like, volcano rocks and craziness on it. And I don't think I've ever shaken so bad. I think the next time I shook that bad was the first time I walked a carpet. Just bird ankles, all just the whole way through the song. Oh my God, it was really sweet. But then, like, my girl Alicia from middle school, and I knew her in high school. She got up there and sang. I don't know if it was another Beyonce song or a gospel song, whatever it was. It was very heavenly, and it knocked us right out of the water. But it was the last time I did that.
Yeah, those school variety shows, school talent shows, they are a rite of passage.
It
Absolutely.
really is. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pretend to be other people. I'm not going to get up here and do this anymore. I'm going to go be Barbara. I'm good.
Smart. So we're going to get back to Riverdale's variety show. Right at the top of the variety show, Josie and Valerie are patching things up.
Yeah, which was so beautiful. And it was tough because, you know, I'm always fighting against, there are certain things about Josie that are just not me. You know, right. Josie can hold a grudge, and not only can she hold a grudge, she may be able to let something go, but she's going to make sure that you remember that she's never going to forget it. Yeah. And, you know, that's not Ashleigh. So sometimes, you know, I would find myself wanting to just, like, hug Haley and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And Steve would be like, okay, well, let's not do that. Like, let's you know, just make it a little harder. You know, just maybe not give in so quickly. And I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah, no, it was a great scene.
But you can, you know, you totally get and you capture sort of the pressure of, you know, these kids get to go on stage and do what they love to do, and they have fun. And we see Josie's working hard, not having the fun, and looking for acceptance, not getting it, and you start to crumble. And anyone, and you don't even have to be a performer, an actress, a singer, anyone who has tried hard beyond what they're capable of doing to get a parental figure or a loved one's acceptance, and you're just not getting anything. You're not feeling the love. Yeah. It's devastating, and I'm right with you, and you handle this scene masterfully.
Oh, thank you. You know, that scene, that day, that was my favorite. That was my favorite shoot date, you know, throughout the entire process, was the variety show. I had been waiting for it the entire time, and I remember when I first got the script and I read, you know, what happens, you know, that their parents are in the audience, and then she looks there and her father's gone and her mom's, like, trying to cover it, and I just, like, broke down on my bed. It's just a sad thing, and like you said, a lot of people have experienced that. Yeah. And it sucks. It just sucks so bad. And, you know, it's kind of in those moments that you really start to discover more of, you know, like, what you really want. Is it that important? You know, if it is there another way you can try? If it, you know, it's the kind of thing that almost makes you want to give up. Yep. Honestly. And I think that's where Josie kind of ends it, is that, you know, it's like, what else is there? You know, I can't do any better than this.
No, and there's a great like transition scene that happens with you in the bathroom and and you're breaking down and your mother is holding you, and that sequence, especially your performance on stage, because it is so real and so authentic that everything about Josie, it becomes crystal clear in that moment.
Yeah.
We understand who she is, where she came from, how she got to be that way. And that, at the beginning of the episode, I talked with you about how there's, Josie is a little removed from her friends and a little removed from the audience because of her attitude. In that moment, that barrier comes crashing down.
Yeah.
And everything becomes just crystal clear. And the writing is spectacular, but dear, your performance is what nails it. It really is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, a really fantastic, yet another fantastic episode of Riverdale comes to an end.
It's just gonna get better.
Every week it's a little bit better. It's exciting. So we got a couple of questions here from the audience.
Oh, great.
This is over in the Twitterverse, and remember, everyone, if you're listening to the show, when I put out my little messages that I'm going to be sitting down with people or chatting with people, you can reach out to the show on Welcome to Riverdale podcast on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram, and always ask your questions, and that's how we get them to the people. So our first question here is from Alexander Herrera, and he's basically asking about if there was any part of the Josie comic book character that you appropriated for your portrayal.
Oh, that's a good question. What I appropriated and enhanced, shall we say, was her determination in succeeding as a musical artist. Even though in the comics, Josie, she could be a little spastic, a little ditzy sometimes, or, have a really great plan, but then trying to execute that plan goes horribly wrong, and she's just scrambling to find somebody to fix it. I think those moments kind of come in more so, like, for example, when Valerie quit the Pussycats, that was kind of an accident. She got a little heated and let things get too far, and the first thing she did was go to her mom for advice and help me fix this. I don't know what to do. So I guess that's those two things that I kind of have taken from the comics, but I don't want to do too much of, what's already been done, because that's not what our show is, essentially. We're creating a whole new universe for these characters, and I want to give people, something fun and fresh to watch.
And you're doing a marvelous job. And Roberto and his staff of writers have done a really neat job of sort of reviving the story and putting so many fun Easter eggs for people that really know the books in there. Characters and some deep tracks.
It's funny. I feel like there's a group of Archie fans who recall, the comics, let's say pre-2001, 2002.
Right.
And then there's there's the generation that knows the comics from that point up until now. And they are very different views and ideas of, who these characters are. So totally. I think to give everybody a fair chance, we'll take a little bit from here and there, but then, bring a lot of new stuff to the table. And the writers are so good at it. Oh my gosh.
They really are.
We could not have a better writing team.
It's a fun group of people.
Yeah.
I remember saying to him early on, I definitely fell into the first category that you had there.
I did too.
I lived in a rural town in upstate New Jersey where I went to school, and we didn't have a comic book shop, but you could get the Archie digests at the supermarket.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I grew into it that way. And I remember about a year ago when I was interviewing myself with Roberto, and I said to him just off the, because there was so much music in the scripts that I personally gravitated towards because I love that sort of thing. I said to him, and I know I wasn't the only one, but I did say, you've got to figure out a way to work Sugar into the show. And the realization that you guys do that in torrential downpour
Yes.
in Vancouver with the marching band was it was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, that was an intense day. That was a long day, but it looked so good. And that's what a lot of us were kind of like, biting our nails about, because we spent, all this time and we didn't know it was going to rain. It's like, it's Vancouver, so, well, I guess, whatever. But we weren't expecting the rain, so having to, figure it out and fight through it and, dance in tiny outfits. The cheerleaders weren't in much either. It was just really cold, and it was tough, but it came out so awesome.
It came out great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
To this day, I'll put on that 2-minute song just to get my day going.
I know my dad and my mom like they're forever, playing Sugar, or oh, let me listen to this song, or oh, I want to hear that song, or people will tag me and stuff and be like, oh my God, you're on Apple Music, and I'm like, am I?
Well, and they cut a really neat, like a music video version of it too. That is out on YouTube.
Yeah, that's actually so cool. I didn't realize that was going to be happening, and it made me really happy that it was, because we didn't get a lot of that screen time in the episodes where those musical numbers were performed, and rightfully so, because you have so many other stories going on at the same time. Sure. But it was really cool that we did have the ability to release like this music video-esque version of the performance, because we all spent a lot of time, doing it. So it was nice to be able to share it with everyone, even though they weren't able to see it fully in the episode.
No, it's great, and it's a fun watch. It really is, and you guys did such a great job.
It's stuck in my head now.
And our last question here comes from Kate at Riverdale, clearly a Riverdale fan.
Yeah.
And she would like to know, what is your all-time favorite song?
Oh, man, I hate these questions. It's like, what's your
it's a hard
favorite
one.
color? I have like 4.
All right, what are your 4 favorite songs?
My 4 favorite songs, well, I Have Nothing by Whitney Houston would be first. And then I Want to Dance with Somebody would be second. And let's see, number 3 would be Casey and JoJo, All My Life.
Very good.
Number 4, what would be my top 4? God, any Stevie Wonder song. Just pick one. Doesn't matter. He's the man.
Absolutely. Well, Ashleigh, this has been a fantastic conversation and a great podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bob. It was great.
You're wonderful. And folks, keep listening. Keep watching the show. CW at 9 o'clock. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Hashtag Riverdale Strong.
Hashtag Riverdale Strong.
free, falling free. Ooh, you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me. Ooh, I feel love, I feel love, I feel love, I feel love, I feel love. I feel love. I feel love. I feel
Can you hear me? Am I drowned out in a crowd? Are you listening? Or is everyone else too loud for you to hear anything? Are you just gonna walk away? 'Cause there are so many things I can do, but instead I'll say I'll try to let it go, let it roll right off my back, yes, so I'll try to let it go and never look back this way. Do you wanna be the one who points and blames and makes us feel many things? 'Cause in a word I can't explain why it hurts so much, you see. We weren't born with all this pain. I guess that's anything that keeps living day by day. And I'll try to let it go, let it roll right off my shoulders. Yes, I'll try to let it go and never look back this way. Back this way. I'll try to let it go, let it roll right off my shoulder. Yes, I'll try to let it go and never look back this way. Never look back this way.
Rick, move your head.